175. Veldora released. Now then, once I saw even a glimmer of hope, I regained my composure. Letting my anger take over would only put Veldora's body, the storm dragon, at greater risk. It's not that my anger disappeared. I just had to keep calm and deal with the situation rationally. This fury of mine would be directed at the Emperor later. For now, I needed to stay focused on the goal. To free Veldora, defeating his rampaging body was the first step. But that alone wasn't enough. I had to retrieve Veldora's nucleic heart and reconstruct the soul corridor that connected us. Still, I felt optimistic. Wisdom Lord Raphael had already bought us some time, so we could now focus on neutralizing the storm dragon. The main obstacle was Investigation King Faust's ability, probability manipulation. Rather than worrying about which specific attacks were being influenced, it was safer to assume all attacks had an element of unpredictability. And of course, the storm dragon's energy was immense. Although I still received some energy from it, the flow was a mere trickle. Compared to the torrent I had access to when our soul corridor was intact. But that wasn't a major concern. I had Gluttony King Beelzebub and Wisdom Lord Raphael on my side. The plan was simple. Use Beelzebub to devour the Storm Blast, the Storm Dragon's most dangerous attack, and break it down. It wouldn't be easy. A failed predation attempt would mean taking a direct hit, and a single strike could destroy my body completely. Worse, I feared I wouldn't even have enough time to escape using a clone. Preparing a clone from the start, like I did in my battle with Hinata, wouldn't help here. If the clone lacked ultimate skills, it would be obliterated instantly. In the end, those clones are only useful against weaker opponents or as distractions. They're worthless when retreat isn't an option and victory is essential. So I had no choice but to face the Storm Dragon head on. I dodged what I could and counter the rest. Thanks to Raphael's calculations guiding my instincts, dodging had become noticeably easier, and it helped that the powers from Veldora's own ultimate skill, Storm King Veldora, were still active within me. Without them, I likely wouldn't have been able to deflect the incoming attacks. It must have been Veldora's timing that allowed those powers to remain. He did his part, now it was my turn to live up to that trust. But I had to wait for the right moment. I didn't know where the nucleic heart was, so I couldn't just start firing attacks indiscriminately. I could launch magic strikes, nuclear, type spells enhanced by ultimate skills, but they wouldn't be fatal. I could even use Holy Demonic Inversion to release a powerful holy attribute spell like Disintegration, but that wouldn't be enough either. It was all because of the greatest trait of the true dragons, extreme durability, far beyond even that of demon lords. Still, defeating the heartless storm dragon wasn't impossible. If I set up a multi-layered magic formation and launched a concentrated, synergized strike, I could deal serious damage. After all, without the heart, its attacks had become predictable. Raphael could read its movements and foresee the next strike. She had already analyzed dozens of attack patterns and was using that knowledge to improve our evasion. Honestly, I didn't fully understand how the algorithms worked, but I couldn't deny how useful it was. At first, I thought randomizing my own attacks would help offset Faust's probability manipulation, but in the end, this was just a rampaging, heartless being. This was the sorrow of domination. A creature forced to act without will, and truthfully, it was thanks to that lack of will that I was even able to dodge its attacks. With Raphael's guidance, fighting it felt like going up against a child. She seemed especially confident, almost as if planning how to kill the storm dragon was easy for her. So yes, defeating it wasn't the issue. There were just two critical problems, time and the location of the nucleic heart. If the heart was destroyed, it would be over. We would fail completely. The storm dragon would fall fully under the Emperor's control, and the soul corridor needed for Veldora's return would be lost forever. I couldn't let that happen, so I bided my time waiting for the perfect moment. That was why I closed the distance and engaged the storm dragon in close combat to look for that window. 2 minutes remained, but instead of rushing, I focused on dodging and creeping ever closer. The closer I got, the harder it became to evade. But Raphael's predictions sharpened my reflexes with my own instincts and the ability future attack prediction working in tandem. We were able to narrowly escape each blow. Calmly, steadily, without panic, I closed in. Now, the moment the storm dragon unleashed an attack and left an opening, I struck. I activated Gluttony King Belzeboth, targeting the storm dragon's main body. My form shifted from humanoid to fluid. My body became vicious, reshaping itself into a form built to entangle and devour. I wrapped around the storm dragon to bind it, to absorb it, but the beast was massive. Even stretching myself to the limit, I couldn't cover it completely. That didn't matter. Beelzebub's erosion had begun. At the same time, the storm dragon's natural aura of destruction lashed out, tearing into my body. While I devoured it, it tried to break me down in return. It was a brutal war of attrition. It burned, it hurt, it was unbearable. I wasn't supposed to feel pain, but this was agony. It felt like I was being melted alive. This was the first time in this world that I'd experienced pain so intense. Maybe my instincts, sensing the threat of total annihilation, were what triggered it. But I didn't stop. I couldn't stop. I would win. At this rate, I would devour and absorb the storm dragon's energy. Then I would isolate Vildora's heart and analyze the curse that destroyed his magic circuits and nullify it. If that required enduring this pain, then so be it. Raphael, are there any problems? Solution: there are absolutely no problems. With that absolute answer, I accelerated the erosion. As fast as I devoured, my body was torn apart, but I converted the energy I consumed to rebuild my body. Erode, destroy, rebuild, repeat. Over and over again. Time was running out, and the target was massive, but I couldn't afford to fail now. But even so, I believed in wisdom, Lord Raphael. I could make it in time. Alert. Reporting results of parallel analysis. Analysis of cardinal acceleration complete. Reproduction failed. Analysis of storm blast complete. Reproduction successful. Ability now usable. Analysis of storm dragon energy complete. Bodily reconstruction into storm dragon type possible. Execute transformation. Yes or no? Wait, what? Did you just say something weird? Sure, it made sense that cardinal acceleration couldn't be replicated. I didn't actually absorb Vilgrin's powers, so of course I couldn't reproduce her ultimate skill just by seeing it. On the other hand, I could understand why Stormblast worked. I still had the ultimate skill, Storm King Voldora, and Raphael had already analyzed it thoroughly. Being able to use such a powerful move was awesome, but not surprising, especially coming from Raphael. But that last part, what did you mean? I could reconfigure my body into a storm dragon? If I understood correctly, this meant I could become a true dragon myself. Answer: that inference is correct. Wah, are you serious? Inquiry: begin bodily transformation into a true dragon? Yes or no? Foo foo foo, foo ha ha ha, foo ha 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 ha. Yes, absolutely, yes. I'm one step closer to my Veldora. Just kidding, maybe. The moment I gave the command, the pain vanished, the searing heat, the agony, all of it disappeared. My new body rendered the storm dragon's corrosive aura completely ineffective. Now I could focus entirely on devouring, absorbing everything into energy. My magic heals rapidly refilled faster than ever before, but I couldn't afford to slow down. Any hesitation against the storm dragon would be fatal. If this were the real Veldora, I wouldn't stand a chance. He would have reacted instantly. But this thing wasn't Veldora. It was just a shell acting on preset instructions. Once I realized that, the threat was gone. Now then, let's finish this. I won't let you call yourself my precious storm dragon. Not like this. Devour it, Gluttony King Beelzebub. At my command, Beelzebub resumed its feasts, this time far faster than before. The tables had turned. I was now the hunter. This was survival of the fittest, plain and simple. My body had fully evolved into a true dragon. My magic heals surged past their previous limits. A complete transformation, a rebirth. Brilliant light engulfed everything as my old body broke apart, unable to contain the overwhelming power of a true dragon. When the light faded, the storm dragon was gone. In its place stood something new, a life form born from devouring the very being that once gave it life. Now, the fifth true dragon, the ultimate slime, a vicious dragonoid demon god. That being shifted shape into a humanoid form. She looked like a 15 or 16-year-old girl with radiant silver hair laced with a faint violet shimmer. Her golden eyes were piercing and beautiful, filled with intelligence and power. Though genderless, her features leaned more toward cute than traditionally beautiful. Yet wrapped in a divine presence, her beauty transcended mortal definitions. She held a single sword and stood without a thread of clothing. Her pale, flawless skin glowed, coated in a shimmer of black and gold magicules. Murmuring in faint annoyance, she willed her energy into form. A suit of jet black divine armor materialized around her, more a transformation of her body than separate clothing. Using her overflowing energy, she stabilized herself and suppressed the excess magic. Looking pleased, she smiled. Vilgrind watched from her prison. She had been just one blow away from breaking free, but in that moment she forgot everything else. She simply stared, stunned. Her brother Valdora, the storm dragon, had been completely overpowered by Rimuru. By all accounts, Rimuru had been born from the ambient magicules leaking from Valdora, an accidental creation. Sure, that made him a unique monster, a strong one maybe, but still vastly inferior to a true dragon. There was no way something born from scraps could surpass its origin, unless a fluke. No, this can't be. It wasn't just chance. Realization dawned and shook her. A monster born near a true dragon, with a soul naturally attuned to dragon essence, that absorbed power and elements without limit. A creature like that could possibly become another true dragon. She didn't want to believe it. She refused to accept it. That thing had to be eliminated. If not for justice, then as vengeance for her little brother. Despite everything, Valora was still her dear brother. She had hoped to use him as a pawn, sure, but to dragons, a few decades of manipulation meant nothing. Vilgrind hadn't meant to kill him. That thought had never crossed her mind. But when she was finally forced to accept that her brother had been devoured before her very eyes, her fury drowned out all reason. My brother, Veldora, you there! With a roar that shook the skies, the scorched dragon, Velgrind, shattered her prison and launched herself at me, burning with rage. The moment I finished consuming the storm dragon, my evolution completed. A transformation, a rebirth. Apparently, I'd become something entirely new. A unique existence with the rather dramatic title of Ultimate Slime, Vicious Dragonoid Demon God. Not exactly what I'd call myself, but it was too late to argue. At this point, thinking about it too much would just make it worse. I turned my attention to my new body, born not by consuming energy, but from it. This form had massively increased capacity. My previous 12-year-old appearance had matured. I looked around 16 now. The growth felt strange but intriguing. Still, considering I could freely alter my age at will, it wasn't a big deal. More importantly, I felt comfortable in this state. As long as I could move freely and stay relaxed, energy consumption wouldn't be a problem. Even my slime form had bulked up. I was probably around 7 to 80 centimeters in diameter now. I'd check that later. Right now, there was another issue. I wasn't wearing anything. Yeah, naked. Not that it mattered biologically, just like before, my body didn't have any reproductive organs. But even so, from a moral and aesthetic perspective, being bare like this didn't sit right with me. Seriously, whole or pole, still not appropriate. So I created clothing. Utilizing the matter creation abilities I'd picked up from Diablo and the other demons, I shaped a garment from my aura. It wasn't just for show, it had defensive capabilities too. Since I was using my own body as the base material, the performance would scale accordingly. In an instant, I was clad in sleek jet black attire. It felt fantastic. And the defense rating? Ridiculous. God tier even. Wait, God tier? That meant my own body, the main body, had absurd natural defenses now. This was evolution, no doubt about it. Of course, that made sense. Several of my subordinates had awakened as demon lords recently, and thanks to food chain, their strength was feeding into me. With everything that had happened, it was only natural that my body had advanced further. And now that I'd been rebuilt as a true dragon, this kind of defense was to be expected. This was a total success. And it was all thanks to Wisdom Lord Raphael, brilliantly executed, as always, truly worthy of being called Sensei. Notice, praise unnecessary, EN, algorithmically embarrassed. She might have said that, but I ignored it with a smile. Now that I was properly dressed again, I could focus on the next priority. Veldora, are you doing okay? Kohaha, how many times do I have to tell you? Of course, I'm fine. But more importantly, look at you. Well done, Rimuru, for defeating my main body so elegantly. It was really tough, but yeah, we did it. We were both relieved to hear the other's voice. Then, right on cue, Raphael delivered a report. Report, Soul Corridor with individual Veldora successfully re-established. As always, Raphael was one step ahead. Flawless execution, just like clockwork. Report, modifications, ultimate skill, Storm King Veldora completed. New abilities unlocked. Storm Dragon Summon. Summon Veldora in his original form. Energy cost and delay scale with situation. Storm Dragon release grants Veldora an independent clone for free action. If destroyed, memory persists and function can be reactivated. Storm Series Magic, Death Heralding Wings, Black Lightning, Storm of Ruins, Storm Lightning, Chantless, instant cast, Bladed Storm, crystallizes and transforms into a blade core. That is all. Perfect. The first tactical objective was cleared. Now, on to the next two, eliminating the remaining threats and crushing the Imperial army. Though my fury had cooled, I wasn't about to let them off. That said, now that I calmed down a bit, I did start wondering if total annihilation was really necessary. But with the black numbers already running wild, the damage was done. Oh well, neutralizing the threat was still top priority. I'd see it through to the end. With my resolve renewed, I turned to face Velgrind now charging toward me in righteous fury. Let's skip this. Editor's rant. End of chapter 175.